welcome back to the KissFAQ feedback loop. It's August the 25th, so that means happy birthday to Gene Simmons. I'd probably dig out one of his albums to listen to. What's it going to be? Yeah, 1978 solo album. I think we'll definitely listen to that, and perhaps a live as well for one of Gene's better performances. All right, we're going to get into the feedback loop for the week, which is, of course, my opportunity to respond to your comments. And we'll see, number one, this week if my camera stays in focus. Yay, so far so good, but I'm not going to be watching on that screen, so anything can happen when I do this show. The videos for the past week were, well, we had the main episode and the merch alert for You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best. I want to dig into that one quickly. I want to start on the FAQ, and straight out of the bat, the response to the merchandise announced on Kiss Online. I haven't checked today to see if that's now available to everyone, not just VIP members for the pre-sales, is another Deceptive album. Absolutely. And crispiness, in this case, getting 2 minutes into the CD and saying that's not them back then, which in hindsight was like a preparatory run for the next experience with Psycho Circus, getting 2 minutes into the CD and saying that's not them. Yeah, that's not them. Or it was them, it just wasn't them at the same time as the songs were purported to be from. Now we know, of course, that the recording of, what was it, Rock Bottom or Room Service, I can't remember, was taken from an instrumental version recorded in Davenport, but there we go. My comment was missed opportunity to replace those fake songs with the box set versions and tease a potential Alive 2 box should that happen. So, again, I forgot that one of them was from an instrumental, so you wouldn't have it, but you could have taken it from Kobo. Let's see, the cover art for You Wanted the Best album is really cool. Thank you, Kissologist. Ken, Voice of Reason, an 8 on the Deception level. And a couple of folks saying, I have the vinyl, don't need it. Will any of these be available on Amazon or the Kiss Online exclusives early? I think one's a Kiss Online exclusive, but presumably if it's doesn't sell enough, they'll make it available elsewhere. It is a business. All right, heading over to the YouTube channel, where most of the comments are. Nick Scarapelli loves the Anaheim book and the double picture disc, but we're talking about You Wanted the Best, but thank you, Nick, for those nice words as well. Bill Phelps, nice to see the records on sale separately. I don't mind the interview on this one. With a nice gatefold and poster, the black vinyl sounds like a purchase. I'm a little more positive about this release since you did the videos examining the extra songs that were included. Well, nice job on those. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, those are fun to do. Always cool to dig into those. I am still working on some other videos in that sort of vein. We'll see if I ever have enough time, with Aceland being the primary focus of my life, to give them the time that they need in order to make sure there's a reasonable amount of quality. Again, I am a YouTuber and not a professional. All right, TCB Mike, sweet. I guess that's a positive response. Renemies, I ended up getting the black vinyl. It was the cheapest. The Purple Fire looks so good, but when you add the tax and the shipping, it was just too much for me. Really cool to finally be able to own this album on vinyl. Yeah, it hasn't been available since Kisteria box set, where it was an exclusive. It wasn't reissued as part of the 2014 campaign, and prior to that, then it was clearly only available, I think it was, what was it, H&H back in the day, for 1996 on LP, and it has, of course, come with that bonus track. 1974 Kiss, Pop House going to recoup that investment one release at a time, can't blame them. Well, it's business, and there's a market, so it's not just about an investment and recouping money. It's about, well, it's about making money. Okay, you're right. It's about making money and recouping the investment. All right, San2PHX. Well, crap, I never got the VIP email. So yeah, keep an eye on Facebook groups. Kiss My Wax is a great source for getting notice of when these things drop. Keep an eye on the FAQ, obviously, as well. We do talk about it, and other people who notice it before I do post there. And those are probably the two primary sources that come to mind right now. If you've got another one, chime in the comments. 19 Gunter. I'm looking forward to Pop House going to town with Iron Maiden. That's going to be a real money spinner. Yeah, well, hopefully Well, we'll leave that one there. That's a whole podcast episode, sir. Todd Jacobs. F this garbage. Keep putting out deluxe album box sets with extra audio and great books. We don't need coins and crap. How about start putting out some great live video releases from the 70s, 80s, and into the early 90s? Again, my understanding is around the video that there's a additional layer of complexity to that. DVDs are no longer the thing. Just ask Sony and how well that's going for them. But in the digital market, again, I don't know what the upside is to that. Aerosmith, as part of their 50th anniversary, did do a bunch of upscaled, restored videos, which were from the five decades, and they were extremely good. So, again, they don't have the same problems, I think, in some ways that Kiss does, but again, I'm not on the business side, so I'm just a fan. Give me music, more music, and I can choose whether to buy it or not. And another accusation of money grab, it never ends. But the point is, on all this, is no one is forcing anyone to do anything yet. You don't have to purchase these. If they interest you, wonderful. If they don't, wonderful. They don't happen to interest me. I don't have space, and I'm downsizing at my age. So here we go. The main episode for the week was the most deceptive album in history, and more. I don't think we got to the more part of that, but we did kind of go through a list of some of the more deceptive Kiss albums that have been kind of discussed by fans over the decades, and we're still discussing them. That's the great thing about being a fan. Just because you've had a conversation once doesn't mean you don't have the conversation again. I guess it's a little bit like having dementia, being a Kiss fan. It's always fun to recover the same ground that you've done previously, not remembering that you've done so before. So there we go. Bernie 67. Great episode as always, gentlemen. Thank you, Bernie. For me, the most deceptive album is Psycho Circus by far. I don't think I even need to elaborate. No, you don't, for many of us, and I don't want to trigger anyone who don't like conversations to get upset about us talking about it again. By the way, Marcus, your volume was quite low throughout the episode. I did try and bump Mark's, what's it called? Yeah, volume. There we go. I'll get there. Talking about dementia. But wasn't able to. We'll try and do a better sound check prior to. Sometimes things get a little bit bumped, and he does spend a lot of his time using his computer for real work. All right, Strutter72, the best Kiss topic in my humble opinion year to date. Great episode. Keep them coming. Well, thank you very much. I can't say we came up with it. It came from the FAQ message board. So thank you to the original poster of that topic. 83 Marceloa. I think I got that right. The 3D worked fine in Sao Paulo back in 1999. Nobody complained. As a matter of fact, I thought it was pretty rad. Something different. Again, like the vinyl, some things work for some people, some things don't work for other people. It did not work for me. I was in LA. I thought it was lame, but then again, I was so far back from the screens that I really didn't get to experience it. I was going to go to London in 99, I think, as I mentioned, to try and experience it better, but I had to cancel at the last minute, unfortunately. It wasn't for me. I thought it was a gimmick that just didn't work, with pointing cameras at the screen, pointing guitars at the cameras, and it was really nothing spectacularly cool. I didn't think much of the circus there either. I had a better view of that than I did of the stage at Dodger Stadium. I thought it was just not to my liking. It really was a distraction, and it didn't seem to have any kind of real tie-in. It was so far away from the stage. But then again, it's quite a long time ago now, so maybe my memory's starting to go. All right, Joseph Kiss Sr. This was a really interesting topic, as I never really thought about the deception angle. Yeah. Leaving out all comments about any of my side projects. Bruce Collin, happy to see no longer using. Okay, we'll leave that one. We don't get to choose the thumbnails. When we let YouTube pick them, it just picks a random screen. So I don't really look too closely at what they look like, other than I usually get rid of the temporary screen thumbnails that we use to schedule the show. But afterwards, I'll move it back to a more normal one in most cases. 351 TGV. On the flip side, the most authentic album, which features all members, 4 originals and 2 character replacements, and ghost players and replacement players, all that is missing. I'm not sure where this one went. Kiss Unplugged. pretty much. That is the most authentic. They put a heck of a lot of work into it, as I always say. The Acorn is spinning. To this day, I do really enjoy Psycho Circus, but it was in large part because my band was back after decades apart and I bought the hype. Yeah, again, I wrote that review back in the day where I kind of gushed over the album. I was excited in the moment. This was supposed to be an originals album. I didn't have the discernment to really be able to tell the difference. Hindsight is, again, probably why I was so offended. There we go. Jay Zackstad. Pretty much since Alive 2, we have been lied to. Every album, it's either Gene not playing bass, Peter, Ace, Eric Carr not drumming on certain songs, and even Eric Singer didn't play all the songs on Revenge. Then again, in Eric Singer's defense there, he was in a rush. He was going out on tour with Alice Cooper, so he came in and tracked those drums pretty fast, and then they decided that one was just not quite up to snuff, so they had to fix it. He wasn't available. Again, that's my understanding. But he did all the work. So again, Bob Ezrin has to make decisions around the recording of an album. It'd be interesting to go back and see who, in terms of production, made the most changes, because Michael James Jackson, over those 3.5 albums that he worked on, there were quite a bit of extra players. Bob Ezrin, quite a bit, or a few. Eddie Kramer, and who else? Again, there's whatever is needed, they've never been afraid to do, even going back to the earliest days. So, Peter Amstrup, honestly, Creatures is so overrated and dated. I'll disagree, but that's your opinion. And, well, let's see. Dakota, what kind of cheese would the group like to go with the Crates of Whining? I don't think it's whining. We're looking at the albums that, have those substitutions. And maybe to you that is whining, but to us it's a conversation. So again, there's no right or wrong answer around these. I like putting these songs under the microscope. I don't think we'll ever get like a Beatles catalog in the studio of who did what. We're interested in that, some of us, because it's fun to dig into. But is it going to change how we appreciate an album or dislike an album? No, and it's not going to affect anything in the world. All right, those are all the comments from the past week. There were a few, I think, from some earlier videos, but I don't want to go back in time right now because I'm really busy. So thanks for joining me. See you next time. Oh, look, you're still here, watching or listening. We're not sponsored, monetized, or supervised. We're only in this for subs and likes and kicks. So why don't you mash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about today's episode.